And that's all from the BBC News at 1, so it's goodbye from me. And on BBC One Now, we'll join the BBC's news teams wherever you are. Have a very good afternoon.
Welcome to Look North, the main news from our region this lunchtime. Our region's psychologists launch live chats on social media for anyone struggling with an eating disorder. And travel agents react with dismay to the Prime Minister's latest comments on lockdown, saying they need more clarity. Good afternoon and thanks for joining us. Psychologists in West Yorkshire have turned to social media to offer new support to anyone who's struggling with an eating disorder. They're using apps like Instagram to help people access face-to-face appointments. Health professionals say the pandemic has made it more difficult for those struggling alone with anorexia, bulimia or binge eating. Olivia Richwald reports.
Good morning, everybody. Mary Franklin-Smith here for this Tuesday morning's Connect conversation. Welcome to the space.
This is therapy at your fingertips. Mary is part of a team counselling those with eating disorders from behind a screen. People like mum of two, Helen, who was diagnosed with anorexia in her mid-30s.
I literally was probably like a zombie walking around, like being underwater, not being able to acknowledge anything or anything like that. My eldest girl, she was 3 at the time, and my youngest boy was like 6 to 9 months, and I lost all connection.
Helen spent 6 months in hospital. She was discharged in the midst of the first lockdown and needed support. She became part of an Instagram community, social media connecting her with therapists and others in recovery.
Anyone can access this Instagram live chats and basically watch like therapists, like peer support workers, and it really helped me.
Therapist Mary says lockdown has left more people struggling.
People will often refer to their eating disorder as friend and enemy, and I think in the absence of other interactions and relationships, it's become people's whole world, and the isolation, the loneliness has impacted it without doubt. And we've certainly noticed that, you know, our Instagram Connect conversations where we're trying to reach people have been well received by people who are on their own in their homes feeling alone, for sure.
Daniel from Halifax had no idea just how ill he was when he was diagnosed with anorexia in November 2019.
Physically, it was starting to affect my heart rate, my blood pressure. I was constantly feeling the cold all of the time. And little did I know, actually, until I learnt more about the condition, that it was affecting me cognitively as well. My speech, the way I was thinking, or it was slowing down the way I was thinking. Honestly, the team at Connect in Halifax and in hospital as well have turned my life around.
Both Helen and Daniel are reluctant to use the word cured. They say recovery is a long process, and they urge others who are struggling to seek help. Olivia Richwald, BBC Look North.
Well, for more details of organisations that offer advice and support, visit the BBC Action Line website. That's at bbc.co.uk/Action Line. Some news in brief now, and firefighters are battling a big fire at a recycling plant at Bolby in Doncaster. South Yorkshire Fire were called at 9:20 last night, and 60 crews were sent to a scrap metal recycling plant. Drivers travelling in the area are being advised to keep their windows and air vents closed. And a decision is expected later on whether Leeds Bradford Airport will be allowed to expand. It could take the number of passengers from 4 million to 7 million a year. The Secretary of State for Communities and Local Government is due to rule today on whether this expansion can go ahead. The terminal will cost £150 million. Well, next this lunchtime, people who work in the travel industry in our region say they're disappointed that there hasn't been more clarity on whether or not we can go abroad this summer. Speaking at a press briefing yesterday, the Prime Minister said he was not yet in a position to confirm whether we can go overseas from May the 17th. Well, in a moment, we'll hear from Phil Bodmer, who's been chatting to a travel agent in Huddersfield. But first, here's a reminder of what Boris Johnson said yesterday.
Obviously, we're hopeful that we can get going, but from May the 17th. We're hopeful, but we don't want to see the virus being re-imported into this country from abroad. Plainly, there is a surge in other parts of the world, and we have to be mindful of that, and we have to be realistic. So what we're going to do, the Global Travel Task Force is going to report later on this week.
So the Prime Minister speaking there yesterday, but where does this leave the travel industry? Well, Coleman and Rachel Coyne have been running Jetset Not Just Travel for the last 8 years or so from their office in Huddersfield. Coleman, what was your reaction to what the PM had to say yesterday?
Really sort of disappointed, a little bit underwhelmed, but we did know it was going to be April the 12th before anything was initially, as it was said, was going to be released. So sort of looking forward to next week. It may be that we have to go into the date, the 17th of May date, before we get to know anything concrete that will assist us going forward, you know, a bit more clarity. But yeah, sort of a little bit disappointed, really.
And what about the rising infection rates in Europe, certainly? Do you think that's going to scupper plans for holidays in Europe?
Yes, I think it will, depending on the country. Obviously, there's places like Malta and Portugal that are way ahead with their vaccination, and I think a lot of it will come down to how them countries have got on with their vaccination and what their levels are. But there will be places to go. There will be countries we can visit. Just got to be a little bit more patient and just try and plan ahead. But there will be some countries, I think, that might be ruled out.
OK, well, Coleman, wish you the best of luck with that. I'm sure it'll be busy once we can return to booking holidays again. We'll talk to the independent travel expert Simon Calder on tonight's Look North, and we'll have more on this story then.
Phil Bodmer there. Well, as he said, at 6:30, we're going to be putting your questions to travel expert Simon Calder. So please send any questions that you have about your summer holiday plans to look.north@bbc.co.uk. Well, finally this lunchtime, the legacy of Yorkshire hero Captain Sir Tom Moore is living on with a new challenge. His family are encouraging people to take on an ambitious goal on what would have been his 101st birthday weekend. The Army veteran, who raised almost £33 million for NHS charities by walking 100 laps of his garden, died on the 2nd of February. Now people are being asked to create their own challenge around the number 100 to keep his memory alive over the Maybank holiday weekend. Well, look who's back from his week off. It's Paul. You picked a nice week.
I did. I didn't expect to be sunbathing in the garden on Tuesday and Wednesday, but it's bitter now, isn't it? Certainly some very cold air has come down from the north, and we've got bitter winds for the next 24 hours. In fact, a few snow showers currently on the radar picture. So there's your headline. More cloud around compared with this morning, but there's a long fetch from the Arctic. That will get cut off, I think, certainly by Thursday. It should be milder, but you can see the streams of clouds coming down from the northwest, and these have developed into wintry showers at the moment, so don't be surprised if you do catch a snow shower, a bit of hail, but the emphasis is on a good deal of dry weather. As I say, a lot more cloud compared with this morning, and that bitter wind, temperatures at best 6 Celsius, that's 43 degrees Fahrenheit. So through this evening and overnight, any wintry showers will die away, and then it becomes dry and clear. Quite a damaging frost if you've got any delicate plants out there, because some spots could be down to -5 or -6 tonight, and even the urban areas, Doncaster and Huddersfield, down to -4 degrees. So it's a familiar start in the morning, a very cold start, but blue skies all the way, mainly sunny skies right across Yorkshire. I think again through the afternoon, clouds will develop and spread out, so it does turn cloudy at times, but there will be further bright or sunny intervals. Still feeling cold though, a bit less windy though. That's a bit of a respite, isn't it? 6 or 7 Celsius the high. Now, Thursday we'll see the wind in the west-southwest, so that's a generally better direction. So temperatures back in double figures, just a bit of drizzle over the Pennines, otherwise mostly dry. Then actually Friday and the weekend looks mostly dry and fine, and that is the forecast.
Wow, roll on summer. Well, that's it from the lunchtime team. Looks Me is back, of course, with the 6:30 programme later tonight.
Like